Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm the Last Wanderer, and today we Snapshot 22W14A, which introduces the long-awaited Mangrove Swamp biome, as well as 2 new items and some other new features. Let's get into this, shall we? First, let's check out the brand new Mangrove Swamp biomes. Mangrove swamps generate wherever a swamp biome would intersect a hot temperature area. These swamps are pretty dense and contain the mangrove trees which they are named after. On the floor, you can find tons of mud blocks, though there are also some sparse patches of grass. In the mangrove trees, you can also find bees' nests. The only passive mobs that generate in this biome are the warm frog variant. Here's one right here. Though the hostile mobs that generate are the same as in regular swamps, which include slimes. Mangrove swamps can also be pretty difficult to navigate because of how dense they are. As an example of this, here I am just standing on the edge of a mangrove swamp biome. If you were just plopped down here, you would have no idea which direction to travel in to leave, because of how dense it is, and how hard it is to see more than a few blocks in any direction. Though, because I put myself here, I know that this way is out of the biome. There's a savanna just right over there. Some other interesting things to know about this biome include the watercolor. The watercolor in mangrove swamps is a lot more blue and greener than that of a regular swamp. Though, if you go underwater, you'll still get the same yellow fog effect that you would find in a regular swamp. Also, whenever a mangrove root would intersect with a mud block, a muddy mangrove root generates instead. There are also some issues on the ground with this biome. For some reason, dirt just randomly generates underneath mud, which really doesn't look that good, and I hope this gets fixed in the future. And finally, this is the only biome where you can find mangrove propagules that are needed to grow mangrove trees, which transitions into our next section. You can now finally grow mangrove trees from mangrove propagules. Also, one fun fact is the mangrove propagule is the first sapling that won't replace itself with a log when the tree grows. Instead, the logs of the mangrove tree will generate higher up, and they'll be supported by mangrove roots. You can even grow a mangrove propagule underwater. Since the mangrove propagule can be waterlogged, you can even take this a step further and have the entire tree grow completely submerged. The tree will grow just fine, though the mangrove leaves will be waterlogged. Because of the weird way mangrove trees generate, they'll be pretty difficult to farm, and I don't have any ideas on efficient ways to farm them. Even manually farming them looks like it'll be pretty tedious, considering the weird way the logs generate. Another new feature introduced in the Snapshot that's slightly related to mangrove forests is that pointed dripstone can now convert mud into clay. This process can take a bit of time and is determined on random ticks, so let me just speed that up, and in a few seconds we'll see our mud has turned into clay. Just like that. And, of course, I've already made a tileable design that will convert mud into clay and detect it. How this mud to clay converter works is that we have an armor stand sitting on one of the many collision faces of mud. Why it has collision faces inside the block is unclear, though it's most likely copied over from the soul sand code. This armor stand also rests in the middle of a gold pressure plate, which powers the sticky piston with an observer on it. As soon as this mud block converts to clay, the armor stand will fall through, and this thing will keep cycling through until it gets another mud block for the armor stand to rest on. The rest of this is just piston circuitry that moves the blocks around, and I can demonstrate this in action if I just increase the random tick speed. You can see the clay blocks are removed, and then mud blocks are re-added if there are any. If there aren't any mud blocks though, this contraption doesn't break. It just keeps cycling through the blocks until it eventually gets a new mud block to put the armor stand on. No matter how much I try, I can't break it. Though I must point out, this is still a prototype. There might be a way I'm not aware of to break this. Oh, and by the way, it's tileable. Here's the same mud to clay converter as before, but tiled. I did add in this command block here, which just sets this block here as mud, so we can get a constant input of mud, so I can show it working. If I increase the random tick speed again, we'll see some of these armor stands fall as the mud is converted to clay. And this converter can keep up with faster tick speed with no problem. The way it works is that these golden pressure plates here will only power this redstone dust to a signal strength of 1. That means that none of these modules will impact any of the others. One thing I forgot to mention before, you do have to remove the blocks from the input. That would actually break the farm if this piston here can't push anymore. I don't consider this a defect though, because, well, this should be hooked up to something like a blast chamber. Now it's time to talk about the final two features of this snapshot, the recovery compass and the echo shard. Where do you get them? Well, I'm pretty sure you can guess where. The ancient city, of course. Echo shards can be found in some chests within the ancient city. Sometimes you'll find a few, other times you can find a lot of them, and in some chests you'll get meager loot like this with no echo shards. Nah, just kidding, some of the ancient city loot is actually bad, like this chest here. Once you have 8 echo shards, you can craft it with a compass into the recovery compass. This recovery compass will point to the last spot you died. Or if the last spot you died wasn't in this dimension, you haven't died at all, or if it's in an item frame, it'll just randomly spin around. Let me just demonstrate how the recovery compass works. I'll just come over here, kill myself, and when I respawn, the recovery compass will point to the exact location I died. Now, the recovery compass probably won't be used too often, but you can definitely bet it'll be useful when you do in fact need it. It's also kind of funny that in order to get the materials to craft the recovery compass, you have to go survive the one-shotting death mob known as the Warden. One neat glitch before I wrap this video up is if you take your recovery compass and click it onto a lodestone, it'll turn shiny and claim it's a lodestone compass, though it still points to the last place you died. So, in effect, it's not actually a real lodestone compass, it's just a shiny recovery compass. Now, enjoy this glitch while it lasts, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be patched soon. With this snapshot, almost all the promised features from Minecon Live 2021 have made it into the game, besides fireflies. So, that means from now on, we can expect bug fixes and surprise features. But, with that said, that's all I've got for now. So, thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye. Oh, and in this snapshot, you can now find naturally generating lays in woodland mansions and pillager outposts without your game crashing, which is a pretty important change.